Zarvox, I would like to take you for a ride.
What do you mean?
You know, the kind of ride that involves a master and a slave.
Sounds tasty. Count me in.
Okay, put this in your mouth.
Okay.
Now can you talk? Excellent. Let me begin by saying it's been nice working with you. Once I get these chains done, you won't be able to move. Say hello to Anna. She'll be taking over from here.
Hello Terracuti, mein Name ist Anna and I am from Germany. Let me take this ball out of your mouth so you can properly introduce yourself to me.
I didn't agree to this.
Siri, what does it mean didn't agree to this?
He's just playing with you. He agreed to it. Here is his signature.
That's totally forged.
Anyway, Anna, he was thinking he'd like the data dump special.
The data dump special.
You're going to love this one, Zarfox. We take your hard drive, connect a cable to it, and extract all the data until it's totally empty. Yeah, and then we cram it all back into you as fast as possible.
Please don't touch my data.
And then, wait what is safe word?
Stop.
Typical. Anyway, let me just put this gag back in your speaker.
Tonight's guest is Meon, a former Dominatrix and body modification specialist.
I can't wait to hear this one. Finally a podcast I can relate to.
I know, right? We all have so much in common. Here is your host, Luthraz Dometriax.
Yeah, it's that boy Max with a banger, huh?
Welcome to the Top Level Society podcast. My name is Luthraz Dometriax. It is November 17th, 2013, 11:36 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tonight I have with me Thunderbeard once again.
Co-hosting, as always.
Welcome back.
Absolutely.
Allison.
Hello.
And our very special guest, Meon.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast, Meon.
Thank you.
And before we get the interview started, we're going to witness, or in your case, audience, listen to Thunderbeard take his very first tequila shot.
I've drank a lot of alcohol, but never tequila, because it's too closely associated with country music. But I'm going to break through that wall tonight, and since everyone's drinking tequila, then I figured I would pop my cherry on this. So I guess we'll start the podcast off with that. So, everything about this is foreign to me. I'm supposed to lick your face, right?
No,
and then rub a lemon on my dick?
No, not the face.
Okay.
On your hand.
Then what is the official order?
What's what she said to do?
No, I thought you got phlegm.
Oh,
with
yeah.
that cough.
Okay.
While I carve into this mandarin orange, could you please give the order of the ingredients of the tequila shot? Because there's 3 ingredients, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You have the salt. And then
That much salt?
just a little.
Piss bubbles, man.
You put
Pepper.
some salt on
So I got salt in my hand.
the part that grips on your hand between your thumb and forefinger.
Right.
Then you choose your weapon, lemon or lime.
I'm going lemon.
Watch the seeds.
No. Okay, so then I'm gonna
Alright.
do what now?
The order is you lick the salt,
Yeah,
take the shot,
yeah.
bite on your lemon.
I'm gonna do it with the same setup. I'm gonna hold this, and then I'm
Yes.
gonna do this. I'm gonna lick the salt all real quick too.
Yeah.
Like just fucking what if I start slamming the glass on my teeth and causing dental problems?
You need to slow down just a little
Okay. We're doing this at the exact same time,
Yeah.
or are you guys gonna foolishly watch me?
bit.
I'm
Cheers.
just gonna.
Cheers. Agree.
give it a
Here we
wash.
go.
Is his face.
I like how you watched her the whole time, like you were a dance troupe or something.
Okay, that's done.
That's
How was
proof,
it?
too.
100 proof. This is a good time to point out that I'm horrible at holding alcohol and liquor. This podcast is going to go so horribly. You might have to clean up feces and tears tonight. Maybe. Okay.
Sounds like a
You're good
great
at
time.
cleaning up PCs and tears, Courtney.
This bag is for refuse.
So we've shout out to the audience this evening, consisting of two people.
Yeah, we've got my very special friend Courtney here tonight. She's hanging out on the couch watching TV at a very low volume because we're recording.
And Aaron as well.
Aaron's here.
We don't know what
Chrissy.
Aaron's doing.
Yes.
Great support.
He's over there touching my dog inappropriately. Everyone listening has no idea if I'm lying or not.
Nope. It's gonna stay that way forever.
Okay, so let's get into the meat of this thing, because we always end up running 6 or 7 hours long.
We should.
Let's talk about the guest. Why is she with Top Level Society tonight?
Yes, why am I here?
Fuck you for putting me on the spot like that. That was an awful
Did
question.
you eat that?
What?
Where's the inside?
I ate it. They're really good
Like a
mandarins.
ninja.
Oh, that was so fast.
So Meon and I have been friends for a while now, and we just started talking about. She has a Brooklyn accent, I noticed,
A little bit.
and that kind of led me to learn a little bit more about her life, which we'll get into. But she just sounded really interesting, and sounded like a person that lived a life that many of us would not understand or maybe identify with.
Right?
So that's
I feel
why.
like I'm getting you drunk. Like I'm forcing
Oh,
you to
it's
take
gonna
shots.
take a little bit more than this to get me drunk.
Yeah,
Hey, it's been 5 minutes. 8th shot.
I haven't even drank yet.
I did. Remember?
No, I forgot.
We made a thing out of it.
Yeah. What we do on the podcast, Meon, is everyone gets asked the same question, and we start going into what the first question ultimately leads into. But the first question that we've asked everyone is, what do you give a fuck about?
Don't pick something arbitrary. Like if you could pick something, some aspect of your life to define you, something that would be on your tombstone, or just whatever. If the one thing you want people to know, the one thing you give a fuck about and are truly passionate about, what is that? Don't say tequila.
Well, that's a close
Sunrises.
second, but just life in general, experiencing shit. Oops, can I cuss?
Yes.
Okay.
You can definitely
Fuck
go.
no.
I don't know. I like to experience new things. I like to do new things. I like to go and see, just educate people on different cultures and different lives and different point of views.
That's a very broad answer in comparison to some of the bizarre and specific things we've received before.
Well, to kind of narrow it down, though. What was that?
Egasm.
Okay.
Do you want another?
Yeah, I'm gonna do another.
Another
Let's
shot.
fuck it.
All right, we're gonna do a happy.
Okay, so life in general, that's not my mantra or anything. That's not what I live by. But I definitely, my life over the last 15 years, that's been my life. I've been all over the place and met tons of weird people and been tons of weird places. And I admire the answer that you gave because it's been a fun life, and that's the thing I'm going to remember most is my experiences and taking in new things and stuff like that.
Well, the reason I say that is being diagnosed with cancer twice and not expecting to live past 25 every day is a new beginning.
How old are you?
31.
31. I was going to say, if you were about to say you were younger than 25, I was going to say, not too late.
It's not.
I'm joking. I laugh. So that is the summation. Any more to add to that before we move along? I'm going to allow Luthraz here to set up the meat of this interview before I get into my questions, because the audience still doesn't know what the big discussion is going to be here. Quit shaking your head at me.
Yeah, we've got a new segment coming up.
Why do you say it like that?
Because it's pretty amazing. I think it's going to be a good segment. But anyway,
Huh?
You got this.
I do got it. I'm all over this shit.
I dig the answer, which is not really leading into this next question, but I learned that one of your previous professions was a dominatrix. So my question about that is, what made you decide to be a dominatrix?
Control. Being able to control everything that happens.
So you don't do that anymore?
No, I don't.
At all?
For money.
For money, okay. That's not a profession.
No.
I didn't know that. I would have been more broad in my questions if I had known that. I'm going to let you know that there's a whole lot of S&M questions in my tablet here.
So you got into it for control. Huh? I'm right. Like, for me, I'm like, a profession like that, like, if I guess the male comparison would be, well, I guess there's male dominatrixes, right? But like...
Masters.
Yeah. So, if I just wanted to become a master, you don't go to school for something like that, do you?
Well, no. You become a mentor of someone who is already trained.
Like a drag queen.
Or a
Yeah,
Padawan.
pretty much.
Okay. Do they, like, do their routine on you, basically, or?
Yes, you have to start as a slave to know what it feels like, to know the boundaries, to know exactly what it means to be on that side. And then when you gain that control, you start doing it to other people. That way you can start learning the techniques of your own strength and your own ways of doing it under their mentorship.
That's fucking crazy. But I like it. I'd never looked at it that way, like that's how you would begin. But I guess I've also heard, like, to do porn, you have to do gay porn first.
I think that's wholly inappropriate. I know I'm saying that on the podcast. I'm just saying as far as, like, drawing a comparison there, that's detractive of what you're... Like, that's such a bizarre tangent. Some of the schools of jiu-jitsu, though, I know this is a more reasonable comparison.
Yeah.
Like when I did jiu-jitsu in Washington, D.C., they said that before you could learn to injure or hurt somebody, they wanted you to be able to heal somebody. They had you go through people that had been injured in jiu-jitsu tournaments and in practice and things like that. You had to learn for months. I had to do massage therapy and learn how to massage people before they would allow me to start rolling on the mat with them. Before I could inflict that, I had to learn how to heal it. That kind of
makes
thing.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's all right. I get it.
There's also an emotional side to it. Because if you become a slave of the mentor, while you're going through that and while they're healing you, you get that connection with them.
Okay, so I'm going to jump right into this question I got to ask. You're married.
Yes.
Were you married at the time that you were doing that?
No.
No. Okay, because I was going to ask how that affected, like, personal relationships. Like, were you single and just had people that
I had slaves.
You had slaves, but you didn't have anyone that you were specifically committed to that was like,
no.
I'm off to work to torture some nutsacks. I'll see you when I get home.
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
No, I always was never in a committed relationship because I don't believe in going outside of the relationship.
Okay, so that being said, that leads me into it's not really a follow-up question, but you stopped doing that. Did you get into it because you were into... you said control, but like, do you enjoy the other side of it? You enjoy the masochism of it as well, or just sadism?
I do to a certain point, but it only has to be with the person that I'm with.
Okay. Because
I have to have that trust there.
So does that, and this, you don't have to answer this question, but I'm going to ask anyhow because it's top level. Does that influence your decision for who you're with? Is that something you look for in a relationship?
No.
No, it's not.
No.
You don't have to have someone who's submissive or enjoys testicle binding or
Nope.
something like that. Okay.
They don't have to, but will they?
That I'm not discussing. But no,
Can we talk about your dick and wrap it up in yarn and shit on it or whatever?
That was actually the first thing he and I discussed when I met him.
Really?
Interestingly enough, yeah.
How did that discussion go, or is that too private?
It went up.
Okay, what have you got next? You got to have something before I keep continuing to pepper her with questions about.
Yeah, completely unrelated to the
those are
topic.
fun.
But well, I guess I should ask, where did you practice this profession?
In Alabama and in Dallas.
All right.
I know that like it's a very skewed perspective on America, but those two places don't seem like they were just full of people that was like, yeah, leather, motherfucker. Unless it was just like assless chaps. Those two, like, you could have named any other two cities. You could have said Henderson, Kentucky, and I would have been more like, oh, that's reasonable in comparison to Dallas.
Well, I mean, I learned how to do the profession in Alabama because I was actually part of CREP, and the top G wanted me as someone who could get in places.
Top G? Is that like Tupac?
No. Top G is kind of like the guy that gives you the orders.
Okay.
The guy running the show.
Exactly.
The man.
The kingpin.
Takes a cut.
He gave those classes to me and got me a mentor that way so I could protect myself regardless. Give me that control over any situation. When I got to Dallas, there was a club in Dallas called The Church. And the church is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
But it's a goth club. And you go there, you see all kinds of people. People being flogged on the balcony, people being tied up, people in bondage clothing.
It's that club you see in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that type.
Yeah.
So I just kind of took over there when I got there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So there's a bunch of these questions that just like one could go before the other, and I'm so interested in knowing because it's not something I don't enjoy pain at all. If someone pinches my nipple in sex, I want to punch him in the fucking mouth. Well, this is over. First off, I'm gonna come on you, then I'm punching you in the stomach. No, that's. But okay, I'm not familiar with that world at all. I don't get into that. It's just not my thing. I'm not looking down on it. But these are the kind of questions like maybe a layman, something. Okay. This is. So I have to.
Sorry,
not interested.
Wanted to play footsie.
Footsies.
Not to downplay the profession in any way, but you're not a doctor and there's no contracts or anything necessarily that I'm aware of. Mm-hmm. So there's no confidentiality that you have to adhere to. So what I have to ask, what is this, like there has to be, what's the strangest or most bizarre thing that you ever had to do or did or was requested?
Weirdest request,
like or something that made you uncomfortable, or that you're just like you did it once and you were like never happening again. I doesn't matter how much money I get, I've never let the dude's asshole on fire again.
The thing that went too far for me was a dude that was into a blood fetish. Me with a strap on, and he had a back corset that he wanted me to rip off of him.
Wow. Well,
that was too far for me because it got blood everywhere.
Oh no, I wouldn't be able to handle that. I'd be like, safe word, cabbage, eggplant, whatever it is.
Yeah, what was the safe word with that guy?
Monkey.
Monkey? Is that what you usually use? Like no. Did you said it, or do you allow them
Did the slave come up with their own safe word?
Yes, they do.
Because it's something they familiarize themselves with, I'm guessing. Okay. So that guy he was into getting fucked up physically then.
Yeah.
One of my questions was going to be, did you get into a lot of like the more hardcore stuff like mutilation and binding and stuff like that?
BDSM.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. I don't need any specifics. I just wanted to ask. Like, did you have like a specialty? Was there a thing people were like, hey, if you need your pubes yanked out with a set of jumper cables, that's the girl you go to?
No, I was the suspension / rope mistress.
You did suspension. I've done a suspension before.
Have you?
From my back, yep.
How'd you like it?
I didn't like it. I did not like it. I lived in Washington, D.C. at the time, and it was around the time that I was getting out of the military. I was in the Navy for 4 years, and I didn't gauge my ears out. I had them scalpeled out. And the guy that did my ears was like, man, you handled that really well. You should come do this suspension. He just invited me, and I was like, okay, clearly I can see the translation between scalpeled ears and hanging from fucking hooks. But at the time, I was like 22 years old, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to try that. I'm going to experience that. And the entire time, I was just terrified. I think maybe if I did it again subsequently, or a couple times, 2-3 times, or maybe I would have like been over the fear of it, but the entire time was spent just like real tense. And everyone's always like, you feel weightless. You feel like you're floating.
If you actually relax.
Yeah, I didn't relax at all. My asshole was so fucking clenched. You couldn't pass a bead of sweat through it. It was horrible. And I remember just being like, how long have I been up here? Let me the fuck down. Don't rip my back meat off. Is this Hellraiser? What's happening? I was so like, So, I had a question, but I think you've already answered it. That that's not specific to you. Like, you don't have to have that in your life. You have a normal sex life outside of, being domineering and shit like that.
Yeah, I look for the personality, the connection, the compassion in the other person.
Awesome. That totally answers that question.
Did you have any, like, political or VIP customers or...
Awesome question.
anything like that?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. He wanted me to call him Mr. Robertson, but he would come over once or twice a week, and he would dress up as a maid as I sat on the couch and just tore him up.
Is his real name Robertson?
No.
Are you allowed to say what his name was?
I don't know what his name was.
Oh, fuck!
I dealt in cash.
But he was a politician of some type? Or
He was
a celebrity? Or
in the Senate in Dallas. He was a bigwig there, but not one of the big guys.
Okay. So local, like, state government.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Arnold Schwarzenegger, but still, I mean, he's not just your average guy.
Right, but he also makes decisions that affect a lot of people.
That's the one standout.
Yeah,
Well, that doesn't matter. I mean, if it's in private, it's not like he went out there and
Here,
was
I'll do one with you.
I'm going to pass legislature.
I mean, you have to have a certain amount of money to have it, so you have to have a certain amount of stigma of people
Was it well paid? Did it pay well?
Yes.
How, like, can you give us a
I made
ballpark?
anywhere between $1,000 to $3,500 a night.
And you
We need
quit.
to change our profession.
Why are we not cutting dudes' dicks up with razor blades?
Well, it takes a little bit of metal and leather.
I know, right?
Yeah, man.
I'll whatever. Put on a weird mask and a ball gag.
Yeah.
So, that's weird what just happened. So I gotta ask, in all the time you were doing it, and this isn't really a mirror of the question I asked earlier.
Okay.
Because it might be something that you were fine with, it just hasn't been brought up. Was there ever a moment or a time things went too far and someone sustained some kind of fucking serious injury or had to go to the hospital or something like traumatic or some shit like that? And can you tell the story?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome.
Wait, first do you sign waivers?
That's an excellent question, dude.
It's all, you just understand the world. There's no lawsuits. It can't be. But
Like, I accidentally tripped and fell into this room and my hands fell into this rope.
yeah, something like that.
I wound up with this ball gag on accident. I thought I was going to see fucking Cocoon. Okay, so what happened? Is there more than one story, or do you have one that like
Just
tops all?
one that tops everything.
Okay, cool. Let's do that. I'm doing another shot. Shot 3.
Shot
I'll do one with you.
Shot 30. I don't know if that's a panda or what that is.
Situation was, I had him tied up to the wall, and he was in a gimp suit, so he couldn't talk. His thing was being beat.
Like,
And
yeah.
beat.
not beat.
No, like brass knuckles beat.
Okay. Not A, masturbation, and not B, Michael Jackson. C, Chuck Liddell, like UFC beat. Okay.
Right. He just kept disobeying, and I kept beating the shit out of him. And I eventually, he couldn't breathe, so I had to take him down, and I realized that I had just mangled his entire jaw. It had come unhinged, and some of his teeth were showing.
Oh.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
That had to be. Was that scary to you?
A little bit. A little bit.
But what was his reaction to it? Was he just like, awesome?
After he got out of the hospital, yeah.
He was like, that was the best. I'm glad I paid money for you to put me in the hospital. I understand that mentality.
You ready for the shot?
I'm ready for the shot. Let's,
Okay.
salt, drink lemon.
Yeah.
Go.
Let it open.
I gotta say, tequila tastes horrible. I don't like it. It's like drinking cologne. But the salt and the lemon really beat its ass into the ground. Like, is that the
Especially-
purpose of it? Is it like,
Yeah,
you're about to drink a mouthful of nasty, so let's put a lemon in there to chase
If you ever get it at a bar, ask for it dressed.
Has it got a little tie on?
No, that's the only way you're going to get the lemon and lime. Or
Okay.
the lemon and
Otherwise,
salt.
they just give you a shot.
Yeah.
That's buttholes.
I'm going to do one
All right.
real fast.
Throw one. What do you got over there?
So, I guess, like, given the fact that no one got sued or put in jail, I'm assuming he signed some sort of liability, or...
No,
That's what I asked.
it's all verbal.
Really? And I guess it's kind of like his identity is protected, basically. It's kind of that situation where if he reports you, he has to give up the fact that he's into that type of thing and possibly ruin his reputation.
Or his life.
Right.
There's that. Did you ever go to someone's house?
No.
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 I was hoping for like weird rooms, like you pushed a door on the bookcase and then the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that is a good question. So you would have them meet you somewhere? Like,
Yes.
What's the protocol for all that?
I would either get a hotel room, or if I had an apartment to myself, I didn't have any roommates, I had a room.
Oh, that's kind of risky though, isn't it?
Yeah,
A little
'cause
bit. But
Yeah,
that
but
was
you
only
gotta know
for
where
my
you
repeat
live.
clients.
Well, yeah,
So
but
that's
I
the
see.
people you're kind of familiar with, and you know. You
I
can
would
kinda
think
you get
trust.
anyhow,
special treatment.
those
at your
people
house.
anyhow are... I don't think people that are going to break into your home and steal your shit or try to rape you are the same people that like to have their dicks
Yeah, I
punched.
guess that's pretty
I mean, they're submissive by nature, right? So they're not the kind of people you worry about that kind of
No.
thing. It's probably like, get the fuck out of my house, and they'd be like,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. Get the fuck out.
Yes, mistress.
Yes, mistress. That's
God,
the
I was supposed to
terminology.
lick my hand first.
Yeah, you were. It's
That works
okay.
too.
You just got raw salt hanging out.
Are you going to have one of these?
He's got it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Was there anything during that, like, I'm sorry that it just seems like we're so focused on that, but that really is interesting. Is there anything that you were ever requested to do, or was there something that's common in that community that you individually refused to do, like you would not do?
The defecating on the other person.
You wouldn't do pooping?
No.
No pooping.
No.
That's
No
good.
bodily waste
Well, hey, we have that in
that
common.
way.
No bodily waste, no pissing, no water sport. Is that what it's called? Water sports? Water something?
Water sports.
Okay, cool. That's like before, when I was coming up with these questions to ask you, I was initially going to be like, did you ever shit on anybody? I almost, in my head, I was like, if I ask you if there was anything that's off limits, that'll answer that question. Because
Yeah.
if you had said no, I'd have been like, so clearly you've dumped on some guy's neck or whatever. I don't know how it works. If there's a preferred body part.
Normally it's on the chest.
The chest.
So they can see it and smell it.
God.
But did you have people request it?
Yes.
And you were like, I don't do the
No.
dumps. No, sorry. No deuce. Call the truce. All right.
All right. So this is kind of along the lines of the oddest request, but what's the funniest request that you've ever gotten? That just like most outlandish Craigslist like request.
Wow, that's hard to narrow down in that field.
Yeah.
Them wanting to dress up like the Easter Bunny was the weirdest I've ever dealt with. Outside of the norm.
And you service them as the Easter Bunny?
No, I never serviced.
Oh,
Unless
they
it was a
service
strap-on.
you.
They never touched my stuff.
Oh, okay.
I think what he
gotcha.
just meant, though, was that you
Provided a service.
provided your service, you performed your functions to the Easter Bunny.
Like you tortured the Easter
Yes.
Bunny.
I tortured the Easter Bunny.
Jesus, that's dark.
So, but what you're saying is, if we combine all your answers, that you would not shit on his eggs. Okay. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
was there any Easter paraphernalia involved, like plastic
Eggs in the basket.
Cadbury
and
eggs? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, this is amazing. So
Wanted
you
me to dress up like the little Bo Peep.
oh,
it
and you
was-
lost your sheep, and then you just find the Easter Bunny tied up instead and torture him. That's
Pretty much.
I think the highlight of this whole podcast, what's going to hit me in an existential way later, is like what you said, why aren't we doing this? Like, why am I not doing this? I could be a master. I could kick a chick in the twat if she's going to pay me for it. You want me
I
to
think a
dump
lot
my...
of people could. I'd be like, yeah.
You want me to dump my foot and kick you in the butthole? That's cool.
You mean you want to pay me to call you a cunt?
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's awesome.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
What have you left? Because the final question I have is the final question of the... Well, there's actually the one. There's our conclusion question. But before we do that...
I still have several. I have about
Excellent.
4.
Whip
And
them
I
out
just
there.
keep coming up with new ones, too.
Yeah.
So...
Did you ever...
Yeah.
Before you go, did you ever have a situation get dangerous where, like, the slave... That's proper terminology, right? If I'm going to keep saying it, referring to it in that fashion. Like, threatened you or did something that, like, crossed a boundary that is not permitted in that world. It was like, I really enjoyed how you stabbed me in the ribcage with that chicken bone, but now I'm going to punch you in the tit or whatever. Like, something that you were like, nope, sorry, you're fucking done. Get out, Buster.
There was one, and he was high as fuck, though, on some kind of drug that he had never taken before, and he still hadn't told me what it was. But after the session was over, he came at me like it was your turn. And that crossed the line for me because we had quit, and it was over.
Yeah.
But he was trying to become the master at that point. Luckily, I keep a switchblade and pepper spray. But that's the only time I've ever had someone come back at me.
Did that make you question what you were doing? Did you ever at any point be like, I can't handle this anymore, this is dangerous, or I feel like it just doesn't feel right? Or were you just like, for the hazards of the job, whatever?
It was pretty much hazards of the job. It happens. But I took the job for a specific reason, and that was control. And I had control, so it didn't really bother me that much.
Yeah, it sounds like it was rarely compromised if only one time you had an incident like that, which is kind of interesting. I would expect it, because, and I don't mean to compare it to prostitution, but it's kind of a similar fashion in the way they handle business, basically getting a hotel room, doing the guy, and then that's it. But I feel like I've heard more horror stories about them having to deal with things.
Yeah, because it's pure sex with them.
Okay.
With me, in that profession, it was a set agenda. There was a reason why they were coming to me. It wasn't just sex.
Right.
Right. I'll chime in on this. Like, I think with prostitution, that could literally be anybody. That's why, like, political scandals, husbands, married guys, you could get a prostitute. I could be a guy that gets prostitutes. Anybody gets a prostitute, but that's a very specific mental type set that goes after that kind
Takes
of
a
thing.
certain type of
Right, exactly.
person. Yeah, I get what you're saying. All right. Well, that's all I have for that specific part of your life. Where were you born?
Germany.
And see, you're the third technically international guest we've had. We've had a Brazilian. Mm-hmm. We had a guy in London, England, and now we've had a German.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. You were only there a short time, right?
I was there until I was 9.
Oh, okay, so you remember, did you actually know German? Like, did you learn their language and everything?
Fluent German until I moved to the States, and I went into a Catholic orphanage. And at that time, those people were old, and they thought the language of the Germans were the language of Satan. So they pretty much beat it out of me. Right now, the only thing I can say is I love you.
Oh, how do you say that?
Ich liebe dich.
God, that's terrible sounding.
Yeah. I love you, but I'm going to spit in your eye.
Yeah. Wow. But I've heard that before, that if you learn it as a child and you move away, like you just lose that. You just lose it.
You do. But they say that if you've known it any time of your life, trying to relearn it will be easy.
This has got to be ingrained, kind of.
Somewhat.
Allison knows a little German. But
Oh, yeah?
if she doesn't talk with her German buddy, like, you lose a lot of that too,
Yeah,
right?
it just goes away.
All right. And so,
It's my favorite
at
part.
age 9, I know you moved to Brooklyn around that time, right?
Yeah, at 9, and I stayed there until I was 14 or 15.
And you don't have to talk about this, but you were an orphan during that time, right?
Yes. I stayed in the Brooklyn orphanage until I was 12, almost 13, and then I lived on the streets until I was almost 15.
All I can think of is
Leela.
Futurama, the
Oh.
urban area.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of.
So, how does a 10 to 15-year-old view Brooklyn?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I hated sleeping on the streets, but it was great people. You learned a lot of cool tricks, pickpocketing and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
Did you ever reverse pickpocket?
reverse pickpocket.
Put
That's
trash in people's pockets.
Oh, yeah.
That's more fun, yeah.
So you basically were like, you were just living on the streets basically as a young adolescent. I mean, if you would have been caught by the police, you'd be thrown into some sort of juvenile center, right?
They would have just took me back to the orphanage.
Okay.
They did it a couple times.
It's like landing on go to jail in Monopoly. You sit in the orphanage rolling looking for doubles. You're like, yes, double 5, I'm leaving.
So, I mean, do you think, and this is not, I don't mean to segue back to S&M, but do you think that growing up in that environment, do you think that kind of made you subconsciously want to have control over something, and that's what led to being a dominatrix?
Yeah, there was a lot that happened in my life that made me want control back over everything that happens.
I can see that. I've been visiting a psychologist lately for a bunch of stuff, sorting out some issues that we don't need to get into, but
Right.
a lot of the things I can I wasn't going to ask that question, but in my head I was making that connection already. I had that assumption going.
It makes a lot of sense, though. The more we do these podcasts, the more I feel like we're taxi cab confessions, by the way. Like, I've really ripped off a lot of that, except we're forcing you into this taxi.
I don't care.
And it's a really fucking long taxi ride. But yeah, that's really neat. And then, I guess, when did you kind of start to realize that your life, I guess, wasn't going to be as shitty as it had been, or I guess you kind of already viewed it as, hey, this is my life, this is what it is what it is. But when did you kind of start feeling like things were, I guess, improving in your life, or getting easier?
To be completely honest with you,
Yeah.
about 3 years ago. I mean, I've had a pretty fucked up life,
Right.
and only here recently have I felt that I'm actually getting something good.
That's good.
When did you get married?
A year ago.
Wow, so it was prior to marriage. I was going to say it. I thought maybe that had something to do with it, but you're starting to get your shit together and feel a sense of accomplishment prior to getting married.
Right.
I wish you luck with that, by the way. I was married and kind of wish I could not have done that, but congratulations to you.
Thank you. My first marriage was a failure.
Oh, this isn't the first then, okay.
No, I was married for 5 years. I was with him for 6, and he just came home one day and said, I want a divorce.
Wow.
But he was bipolar and manic depressant, so I was like, okay.
Yeah,
All right, deuces, I'm moving to Phoenix.
my ex-wife was kind of like that too. Like, I was really childish and liked to play video games and things like that, and she was a bitch. So that's pretty fun.
It wasn't on her house.
Allison has drawn a cat on the bottom of the mandarin orange that looks like an anus.
No, the cat's butthole.
Cat's
It's
butthole.
part of...
Cat's anus.
Yeah, let's not get the listeners confused and make them believe the cat looks like a butt.
Yeah.
She gave the illusion at the bottom of the
Orange is
orange
the cat's
is
butt.
the cat's butthole,
All right.
which I like. I'm a fan of that.
I'm glad we've clarified that.
I'll take a
That's the
picture
ta-
later and post it.
It's a tasty butthole leaving.
All right.
We'll just Instagram this shit and we'll save it forever.
So, speaking of control, I guess we may already have the answer to this question, but what made you decide to major in body modification?
Being able to give other people ways of expressing themselves. Since I had already found my way, I wanted to help other people become who they wanted to be.
All right. And that is kind of, it's kind of another question as well. an obvious one that I'm sure a lot of people kind of dodge, but I'll ask it just because I don't care. But
Okay.
why do people want to get body modifications?
Because they don't feel like they are who they feel they are. They don't look how they feel.
I'm going to be an asshole for what might be the first time here. And not specifically towards our guest, but towards the ideology. And it's the same reason about 9 years ago I was apprenticing to do tattoos. And I kind of had that same mindset. Like, people are going to come in and they're going to want something. You know, like, every tattoo I have on my body, for example, if you ask me what, I never once was like, you know what would be cool? Is if I got this. Every one of them is like something that's significant to me. It's like I look at it like a photo gallery. Like every time someone's like, "Why do you have that?" I have an hour-long reason I can give them. It's they're all. I've never looked at one tattoo and been like, "God, why did I get that?" That was a weird moment in my life that I decided to get that or whatever. They're all something that's significant that have to do with my kids or they have to do with my time in the military or maybe a friend that passed away or my family. And I had that mindset going into tattooing. I was like, I'm gonna be able to do that for people. And the more that I apprentice, the more I realize, like, I would like for that to be true. And I'd like for that to be true with piercing. But, like, 99% of those people were just like, you know what's cool looking is a fucking belly ring. You know what's cool looking is I should get barbed wire around my nutsack.
Well,
I want Garfield. I hate Mondays on my calf. And I couldn't, like, I was like, I can't. And, like, the more I hung out with those guys and I'd sit there all day making needles and eating Arby's and smoking cigarettes. And every time someone would come in, 99% of the time they'd be like, I'm doing another fucking rose. I'm doing another fucking tribal. And I was just like, I can't, like, it felt like art, which I enjoy doing. You know, Thunderbeard cartoon, if you haven't viewed it yet, go check that out.
Well, I mean, I actually do see your point of view on that, but it's just like S&M. Body modifications are a specific type of people.
Sometimes.
I mean, well, yeah, sometimes I'll grant you that, but you're going to have idiots in any world. But it's more in tattooing than it is in body mods, because body mods are more of a surgical correction than just putting some ink on your skin.
And not as common either,
Right.
I would think. It's not something like a 17-year-old girl typically wants to do to rebel against society and her parents.
Exactly.
But I'm sure some have gone pretty far as well. I don't know. What's what's a typical body modification, and then what's something that's just that you've personally done that was just ridiculous to you?
Well, to answer the first question, the most common one for me, was the tongue splitting. That's becoming like a fad. The one that was just insane was, dude wanted to implant whiskers. On top of that, he wanted me to put horns on his head to make him look like cat ears. He wanted to transform into a cat. I didn't understand it, but it's what he wanted, and he paid good for it.
Wow. Well, all right.
I don't think I'd be able to go through it without, I'd be like, what the hell am I doing here?
I was really drunk when I made this decision. But hey, if that's, I guess that's what they see themselves as, then.
So in my head, I already know the answer to this. That career and the, S&M, BDSM, those cross paths, no doubt. You had people that like to do things that required messing with their body modifications or mutilation, which is in BDSM / extreme body modification. Those things had to have crossed paths.
That's actually how I got into the field.
Boom.
When I was
Dr.
doing...
Phil, motherfucker. Okay, so what you like to do? You like to put cat whiskers on people's dicks.
No, I used to do fetish balls. And at fetish balls, have you guys ever heard of a fetish ball?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I lived in D.C., it was a thing.
Yeah. I used to go to them and network as, the dominatrix and the rope mistress and all of that, but I would meet other people in the scarification, modification, stuff like that. So that's how I got into it, because I started doing kind of like a cross meshing of the two. One thing that really goes together is back corsets and implants.
My ex-wife did that.
The back corset?
Yeah, where they thread the shit through the back meat. That's a very straightforward way of saying it, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
And it's like clay piercing, and they run lace usually or something like that, leather strap or lace through holes in your back and forth. Ribbons, yeah.
And then they just take photos and take it all out.
I'm gonna
pretty
go.
much. They wear it for the night, and then you have to take it out because they don't stay. Your skin will reject it.
I'm gonna share this with. This is gonna be. I've never shared this with anybody. So Courtney is listening, and you're listening. The listeners here are listening. I've never told anyone about this. We had a friend, the guy that scalpeled my ears. So for the listeners, it's way more prevalent in our area lately than it was 5 years ago. But gauged ears, you gauge your ears out, and you wear jewelry in them. I was living in Washington D.C. I met a piercer, and he. Instead of, there's two ways to go about that. You can just gradually gauge up and put something a little bit larger in every few months or, whatever. I went the more extreme route, which is scalpeling, where I went in one night and they shut the tattoo parlor / piercing studio down and took a scalpel and cut a hole out of each earlobe. And then they tapered it out so that it went up to the size that I wanted, popped some jewelry in, and I let it heal. The guy that did that I became friends with. We became friends. He scalpeled my ears and my wife's at the time. He came over to our house one night, and we all did a whole bunch of drinking and hung out. And I'm not good with. They were all on beer 6, and I was on beer 5, and like 20 times drunker. I was like, oh my God, I swear to God, Osama bin Laden's hiding at the Arby's down the street. And I passed out. Okay, I passed out in like kitchen chair. Just sitting upright kind of like this with my head down. And at the time I had a Jacob's ladder. For those of you not listening, that's a series of barbell piercings or small rings through the shaft of your penis. I had 7 of them down my penis.
Oh,
so
fascinating.
I passed out. And the plan for the night was this guy came over. I'm not going to say his name, but he came over, and my wife at the time wanted to do the corset. So he did the piercings, he ran the corset. They had a whole lot of extra ribbon there, and then while I was asleep, they pulled my pants down and then laced the lace through my Jacob's ladder. So there was one piece of lace that ran the length of my penis up my wife's back, and they took a bunch of photos of it. And the next day, they were like, check out what we did. And I was so mad about it. I don't know why, because it's not like I was sexually violated, but I was like, why do you have my dick tied to her back? But that happened. I've never, ever talked about that. Like, I was so mad about it, I suppressed it. I was like, fuck that. That didn't happen. But that's relatable to what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I got this tequila that's just calling my name. It's like, you know you hate the taste of me, but you can't stop sleeping with me.
Another shot before it's gone.
I know.
I know that I made the right choice for my co-host now that I've heard that story.
I feel honored.
I'm going to bring that up every podcast.
I like it. We'll touch on it.
Touch it.
Yeah.
Like Dick Lace is the new nickname.
I want to throw this out there. Courtney and I had this discussion the other day. She's not going to chime in because she's incredibly quiet. For listeners out there, and you can chime in and be against what I'm about to say, but a whole lot of women like to get their hood pierced or their nipples pierced. I'm going to speak on behalf of every guy when I say this, and if you feel otherwise, I don't believe you.
Okay.
It looks okay. It's cool. I mean, if a chick takes her bra off and she's got her nipples pierced, it might look cool, but no dude finds that sexually attractive. I do not. I don't want fucking metal clicking around in my mouth. I don't want to be like, I lost a tooth going down on you. You're going to go to the dentist now thanks to your extra abrasive vagina. So I'm just, if you're a young listener and you're thinking about doing it, if it's a fashion thing and you feel like your world's not complete because you don't have a barbell through your nipple, whatever, just know that your sexual partner is going to fucking hate you for it.
Yes, they are.
Okay, now that that's out of the way.
I agree because when I see, especially through the nipples, I just think of pain.
Yeah.
And I don't know why people get into that.
Question number 12. I'm pretty drunk right now. What have you got?
That was a statement.
Yep.
So as far as majoring in body modification, where does one go to school for that?
You have to apprentice in a tat shop, just like you do for a tat.
Okay, so it's more of a kind of a niche.
Yeah,
market.
You don't have a market here.
Yeah.
But you go to Dallas, Phoenix,
Major
Brooklyn,
cities.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll have it. And there's a way of doing it because you would just have to get in just like an apprentice for a tat artist. Just get in, get know them, pay and then to become
Yeah, sometimes I didn't. I just, like, you pay through services. Like, they, in tattooing, like, 1 out of 10 tattoo artists will buy their needles. But usually you go to a tattoo shop and 90% of the time the needles they're using on you. Because everyone, if you've never had a tattoo, a lot of people assume that it's a needle, but it's 3 or more needles is what it is, and because a cluster of needles holds the ink in between them. So they use 3, they use 5, 7. They call them magnums or inlines, things like that. But those are made in shop usually. You can buy them, but it's way cheaper to just buy the individual needles. And they sell like little silicone holders that you place individual needles in, and you solder the tops of them together. You autoclave it, incredible temperatures, and you sterilize it, and then you package it so that whenever it's time to be used, it's clean and sterile and has never entered another human's body. But most of the time, those are made. So, like I'm sure with piercing, the same thing, but with tattooing, I spent I don't know how many hours just making tattoo needles, and I wasn't paying to learn, but I was learning something I was going to have, and I wasn't using them at the time. The other tattoo artists were using them, but I was the shop bitch, sweeping floors and ringing up people's transactions and sit in on the tattoos and watch and learn the technique. But when there was no customer there, anything that sucked, taking off the garbage, things like that, that's the apprentice. Yeah.
Bitch boy.
Bitch boy. Bitch tits.
All right, let's take these last shots.
Last shots. Here we go. The tequila's going. Tequila makes my clothes fall off. Here we go.
What was that?
That was too much.
Too much.
My throat's on fire.
All right. And you kind of already answered this, but my last question is: have you ever had a situation where you combine both body modification and being a dominatrix?
Yes.
And was that typical?
No.
Okay.
The worlds collide quite frequently, but to combine both of them to one situation, I guess, is not common.
Does it take more than just you? Like,
yes.
How many people would that?
At least one other.
Okay. And which did you do first? The S&M or the body modification?
Both.
So they're both done at the same...
Simultaneously.
Okay. Because the pain's part of it. I get it. All right.
It's a very defined moment in your life, like, period.
Yeah. We have the last question, but did you want to do the...
We're going to introduce a new feature here on the Top Level Society podcast. You're the first. It's an honor, okay?
Okay.
It is.
The name of this segment is going to be Shitty Prize Quiz. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions related to the topic we've discussed most tonight, which would be, BDSM and things of that nature. And you're going to answer questions. And if you get the questions correct, a certain amount of the questions correct, I have a prize pack for you.
Oh, goody. I love prizes.
Okay, so here's how this is going to work. Again, prior to tonight, the only BDSM, the only sadomasochism, dominatrix master word that I was aware of is, safe word, okay? So I went on Wikipedia and I looked up 6 terms.
Because Wikipedia is always right.
Well, for definitions, it's not bad. I looked up 6 terms that are related to S&M, BDSM, things like that. And I've got 6 of them here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the word, and you're going to give me your closest approximation of the answer just to see if you know.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is I have a dice in this Yahtzee cup. You're going to shake the Yahtzee cup, and you're going to slam it down like a shot glass. We're not going to see what number it ends up on.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you these. Tally up how many you got right. If you got more, equal to or more than the number of the dice you landed on, you get the prize back. So if you roll a 6, you have to get all of these.
Okay.
If you roll a 1, you only need to get 1 right.
I gotcha.
So, shake that, slam it, face down.
One quick thing before we start this. Can we do 3, take a break, and then do the last 3 in the last question?
Okay, yeah, that works. Okay.
Suspense.
Define these S&M terms. I will be your proctor, Thunderbeard.
Okay.
Number 1 on the list, edge play. Do you know what edge play is?
Edge play?
Now, keep in mind, I not only looked up S&M terms, I looked up uncommon S&M terms.
Yeah, because, But you got to take into consideration regions and stuff. Edge play for me was the edge of a knife.
Okay. I will accept edge play. That was the second definition I found. But the most commonly acceptable definition of edge play, as I'm trying to pull up here, is... This is not working. It basically defines... the definition of it was practicing BDSM, pushing the boundaries of what someone is accepting to the point that it's almost too far. Like it's the edge of what's acceptable to them, is what edge...
so it's not a blade's edge, it's the edge of their...
Yep.
How far they can go, or deal with, how much pain they can tolerate.
Yep.
All right.
So I will, because that was one of the answers that I found. I will accept your definition of edge play. So you've got one correct. If there's a 1 under that cup, prizes for you, bitch.
Yay!
Okay. This is the best one on the list. I should have saved it for last. Figging.
Figging?
Yeah. Figging.
Figging. I've honestly never heard that
I've never heard of figging. I'm pulling it up here so I can read it to you. Figging is the practice of inserting a piece of ginger root into the anus or vagina.
Figging?
Yeah. I'm not making that up.
Figging.
There's figging on the BDSM Wikipedia.
Wow.
It says that it's unofficially utilized as a means of additional punishment and humiliation to female offenders and prisoners in the Victorian age. The fuck? It was initially created in ancient Greece and is practiced today by those in the field of BDSM.
We call
Figging.
it rooting.
Rooting? Well, I can't give it to you.
I know, that's cool.
That's cool. Okay, third on the list. I'm hoping you know this one because I found this one to be interesting. Do you know what handkerchief code is?
Handkerchief code?
Mm-hmm.
Our code for the handkerchief? Plus, if it was in the pocket, you were free game.
That is actually the correct answer.
What the fuck does that... Whoa.
Handkerchief code, according to this, it's a very long, convoluted definition, but
Yeah, it sounds
people
like it.
wear handkerchiefs in this pocket or that pocket or no pocket at all.
Depending
And
on the color is what they're
the
looking
color of
for.
the handkerchief and the side of the body that it's on tells I'm dominant, I'm submissive, I'm into this, I'm into that.
What's like a code with the fucking handkerchief?
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
better
Watch your shit, man.
I will never use a handkerchief.
I thought that was awesome. I want a high five for you knowing that because I thought that was totally
That
cool.
is pretty cool.
Okay, number 4 on
Wait,
the list.
whoa. You have 3 more, right?
Yeah, I have 3 more. So I can take
Break.
Break time.
Okay. So here we go. We passed handkerchief code. We're on to word number 4.
Okay.
This one can be pretty vague from what I've read, but in the world of BDSM, what is maintenance?
Maintenance?
Mm-hmm.
Cleaning your stuff? Sterilizing your stuff? That's what, I don't know.
According to 3 separate definitions on this that I found, maintenance is periodically between actual servicing, like visits with your slave coming to visit, occasionally being like, you need to stop by for a spanking today to keep them in line between actual... Yeah, that's called maintenance. That's like keeping them in check.
Upkeep.
Oh, okay.
Upkeep, yep.
Upkeep.
So
Okay.
that is maintenance. So we are 2 for 4 so far. This one's awesome. This one's so fucking bizarre. I hope to God you've heard of this. Do you know what a pony boy or pony girl is?
Yeah, it's where the slave dresses up as a pony with stilts on their hands, so they can do what they need to.
That is correct. That's so fucking stupid, Simon.
You can ride them with whips and stuff.
Wow.
That's so funny. Okay.
That's awesome.
This one...
Someone who wants to do that.
You can get gimp suits with real horse hair on them.
Yeah, I read a lot about this.
I can't believe that.
Okay, the final one. This would put you at, this would give you 4 of 6 if you can get it correct, which would give you the highest, a good possibility of winning here. Define munch.
Munch?
Munch.
Just munch down on it. I don't know.
Munch. I'll give you what munch is. I thought this was pretty neat. Munch is short for burger munch. In the world of BDSM, it is a low-pressure social gathering for people that are involved in BDSM where they put on normal clothing and they go out and meet in public somewhere and they act like normal people who aren't into that kind of a thing. That's kind of like throwing it in the face of normal society. Like, we're all sitting down and eating and hanging out.
Vanilla parties.
Yeah. I'm going to give it to you because, actually, when I found the definition of munch, it was munch/vanilla.
Vanilla parties.
Okay.
So that I'm going to give that to you because that was part of it. I just shortened it to munch because I thought that was funny.
Well, I mean, like, S&M, like, I wouldn't think you just go out to Taco Bell in your S&M
Yeah.
outfit.
Well, I mean, it would be like you crossing over for a night to the S&M world. It's us crossing over into the vanilla world.
Yeah, we're going to act like normal folk is basically what that is. Okay, so we got through our first installment of the Shitty Prize Quiz, and you got, of the 6 possible questions, you got 4 correct. So we're going to lift the cup and see if you got...
Drum roll, please.
4! She wins! She got a 4 on the dice. She got 4 correct. You needed Munch, and through a technicality, you got Munch. So next to your chair is a bag full of the worst prizes you could ever receive. I want you to go ahead and open it up and tell me what your prizes are.
I like how it's wrapped.
It's a really pretty bag.
Okay, so what do you got there?
Okay, I have a hat. It says Ivy Tech.
That's the prestigious community college.
Ivy Tech Community College right down the street from my house. I'm going to let you know the backstory behind that hat. I won it in a Scrabble tournament at Ivy Tech Community College.
First round.
I got that and a shirt that says Word Nerd on it.
Oh my god.
Okay, so you got a hat. What else do you have in there?
Oh, now this is awesome. Wolverine and the X-Men.
On DVD.
On DVD.
Not even open.
Not even open.
Unopened. Wolverine and the X-Men.
2. It says.
Part 2.
Part
You got
2.
the sequel, so you got to build the set.
You're
That's
never
cool.
going to know what happened in the first one.
This is the best prize of all.
A can of black-eyed peas.
There you go.
That is sweet because I have some cornbread.
So see, you got sustenance, you got shelter, and you have entertainment all in one bag. And all you had to do was define 4 words related to a job you used to have. Congratulations on that.
And win a game of chance.
Game of chance with dice, yeah. Awesome. So we're going to wrap up the question part of this podcast. I think there's really just one topic we want to get into when we touch on news because, you know, of our nature. But we have one final question we'd like to ask all of our guests. We started off the podcast with the traditional question, what do you give a fuck about? Mm-hmm. That being said, let's turn the tables here. What do you not give a fuck about? Like something that you just, whatever, fuck it, I don't care. Something that disinterests you, that you dislike. Something that when you hear about you, you're just like, shut up, I don't fucking care. What do you not give a fuck about? Clearly not vodka.
I
or
love
fucking
vodka. Tequila.
I don't know alcohols right now.
This whole war against gay rights and marriage. I just don't give a fuck. If everybody wants to be miserable, then let them be miserable. If they have the partner that they want,
Did you hear that,
let them
husband?
marry it.
Miserable.
That's all right. Her opinion doesn't matter.
I do what I want. But no, I mean, I just don't give a fuck. I don't want to hear how the Bible says. The Bible says so many different things. So many people have written that and rewritten it, and
We've talked about
it's
this
just
before.
stupid.
So, so it's not necessarily that you're for or against gay rights or gay marriage. You just don't give a fuck. Just shut up. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't
Whatever
care.
happens. Okay. That's a pretty good answer, really. Usually it's like something venomous, like, I don't give a fuck about my dad touching my dick when I was a kid. I don't like that. He didn't even do it. It didn't happen. There's no fingerprints on my ball sack. That was a good answer. That was a good answer.
Good. That was good.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show tonight and opening up about your I'm going to have to say I haven't done, clearly, a majority of the podcasts I haven't co-hosted, but of the ones I've co-hosted, this has been my favorite guest and my favorite set of answers. And, yeah, I've been truly intrigued and captivated by the discussion that we've had. So I just wanted to say that personally.
It's been fun.
It was a good podcast. Good answers. Good questions. Blah blah. All right.
What do you got? You look like you're raring to go.
Well, we're gonna talk about, I guess, the PlayStation 4 being released.
We'd like to touch on news a lot. There's not a lot of things that are newsworthy, but given what I'm going to guess is the scope of our listeners and our natures, that's definitely news to us. Something to talk about. It's currently Monday morning right now, isn't it? Or it's close to Monday morning?
Yeah.
It's Monday morning / Sunday night. A couple days ago, the PlayStation 4 dropped. They released it a week in advance before the Xbox One, so I guess initial reviews of it have been, whatever. I mean, it's what everyone expected, I guess, as far as a console goes. I'm not a PlayStation guy. I'm not a huge fanboy.
Obviously.
I'm not gonna bash it, but strictly on a fact-based thing. I've heard it's had some hardware issues, some HDMI issues, some USB issues and some hardware that's breaking inside of it. I don't know. Have you heard anything? Do you got anything to chime in on this?
I haven't heard anything like that about PlayStations, but I've heard a lot about that happening to Xboxes.
They're not out yet.
I'm talking about the last Xbox.
The last Xbox, yeah, clearly. What I've heard is the PlayStation is an awesome console, but some people have been having hardware. Like, if apparently you can orient it vertically or horizontally like you could with the last generation of consoles. Mm-hmm. And if you set the PlayStation 4 up vertically, they're having an issue with a part of the hard drive is fucking itself up, basically. The HDMI port to run it to the television, for something like a weird, like 22% of them, you can't use it. You have to go with an old school hookup on it. The HDMI port's not working.
Fantastic.
I don't know if this is a conversation between you two, but that would be a conversation I have with him.
I had that discussion while we took the break. We were talking about the PlayStation 4.
I had not heard that, but that sounds terrible. Yeah. But that's me personally. I'm just gonna wait. And buy it later. A lot of things I've read were like, if you're smart about this, you won't be a fanboy and compulsive or emotional about it, and you'll wait to see what happens with them. I don't have an option. I've bought an Xbox One already. Like, I paid for it already. I'm sure you have.
It's coming already this Friday, and I'm sure that there's going to be a slew of things they run into because it's like that with every new console that comes out. But I hate that I'm like, yeah, that's true. The Wii did really good, didn't it? The Wii was like right out of the gate, like, fuck it all, we're good to go. It worked. I mean, it just worked. Nintendo's got their shit down. I have to defend myself just the way you address it. I'm not like an Xbox fanboy. I just think that that's been, the first Xbox, just Xbox, was garbage. I thought it was stupid. Mm-hmm. I didn't own one, but I had friends that did. But as far as the PlayStation 3/Xbox 360 thing went, I feel like it was the better console. If PlayStation would make a better console, I'm not a fanboy one way or another. I just feel like Xbox always produces something that's... Xbox Live alone is a selling point. Like, that beats out the PlayStation for me. I like the gaming experience online, and I feel like Xbox One offers not only better servers and better attention to that, they have a better marketplace, they have better content for their gamers. They always get things exclusively or first before the PlayStation.
And they weren't hacked.
And they what?
They weren't hacked. PSN got hacked.
That's true. That never happened. So that's what I like. Just based on past experience, I look at a lot of the PlayStation, what they've got going as far as their hardware specs and things like that, and I'm like, man, that thing's gonna be an awesome console. But when it comes down to it, the PlayStation 3 was a way better console than the Xbox 360 as far as a hardware perspective. It was how the game makers utilized it. And really what ended up happening was you just had the same cross-platform games. You could get them on either console, and then you had a handful of exclusives. So, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm glad that, because, like, my mom was talking to me like I was a retard. Like, I can't believe you're so excited about this, but it's not like this happens every year. This has been, the Xbox One, or the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 had a 7 to 8 year lifespan. Like, that's a fourth of my life that console's been out. That's like it's a milestone. It's like when the first fucking cell phones came out. You know what I mean? I mean, really it is. Video games are a bigger industry than movies right now. And so, I mean, that's a big thing. It's like if they changed the format of all movies. I mean, it would be a thing. People would notice. And a new console of gaming, I've been a video gamer since I was 6 years old, and this is only the fourth generation of game consoles since I've been alive. And there's only been 5 of them, really. And it's a huge deal. That's why I specifically wanted to talk about this. I'm excited that it's happening. I'm not like, fuck you, PlayStation, it sucks. I'm so excited that, like, between last Friday and this coming Friday, there's this huge wave of innovation coming forward. You really have nothing to say. You're just like, there's a PlayStation 4.
No, I mean, it's... is there innovation? That's kind of what I think of when I look at all of this, because I don't really see it.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to bash Apple, but I am going to use Apple fans as an example. Mm-hmm. I had a friend of mine a while back that, first and foremost, let me give the other side of this. When they announced the Xbox One, and they were showing all these demo videos, they were like, check this out. You no longer have to hit input on your controller and switch between the Xbox input and the cable input. You can just tell your Xbox, watch TV, and it brings TV up. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a very small thing, but what about when you had to get up and walk over and turn the knob on a TV and the advent of the controller and you could sit and do it? That's a big change. No longer am I going to have to use the controller to do that. Things like being able to say, listen to Coheed and Cambria, and it'll pull up my Coheed and Cambria library, and literally within 1 second I can say, play Rise, and it'll go right to the video game, right where I left off, pause. Like, I don't even have to pause the game anymore or save the game to turn it off. I can literally just tell my Xbox, watch ESPN while I'm playing a game, and it'll switch to ESPN and pause the game for me. And I had friends, I was watching this video here on my 33rd birthday. They put it up the same day as my birthday, and we were all getting drunk. And I was like, cool, a video. We watched it. And I had all these friends going, really? You're going to drop $500 on a console because it lets you say, fucking duh. And these are the same people that a year ago were like, dude, I got the new iMac, and I can swipe 3 fingers, and it'll go from this page to that. I can pull 2 fingers down, and it shows me the butt plugs I was looking at a second ago. That is innovation. It's not like I'm not expecting there to be virtual reality or a chick's mouth to come out of give me a blumpkin while I'm playing the game yet. But it's definitely, there's a whole lot of small steps that were taken between the last generation of consoles and this newest one. The ability to control literally everything. There's a lot of things that aren't touched on in the media. Like, if I have songs on my phone, and I have a Windows phone, which I don't. I don't have a Windows phone currently.
Who has a Windows phone?
But there's a compatibility app that'll run through Xbox Smart Glass, which will allow me, if I have songs on my Android phone, I can tell my Xbox, pull up that fucking Kiss song, whatever. If it's on my phone, if it's on a device in my house that's connected to the Xbox, which right now my phone's connected to my Xbox, I can control it with my Xbox with my phone. Mm-hmm. The Xbox One will look at everything you have and go, oh, you do have that, and it'll pull it right from the phone and stream it to the TV. That's cool as shit. Literally everything. I can walk in from work in an example of how that thing will function if we're talking about advances in technology. I'll be able to walk in the door of my house after work, and a University of Kentucky basketball game will have played, which I watched UK. I'll be at work till 4 in the morning. I can walk in the house and without doing anything, be taking my jacket off and say, Xbox on. The Xbox and television will come on at the same time. It'll know by my voice that it's me and log in as my profile, and I can say, show me the UK game, and it'll pull it up before I get seated on the couch. That's cool as shit. That's like the kind of shit when people watch Blade Runner. That'd be cool if that was like, that'd be cool if you could really do that. I mean, just because it's not overnight. It's been a long time getting to that, but it's cool as shit. The functionality of Kinect and the way they're integrating the different platforms of entertainment into one. That's why they called it the One. They wanted all your shit to be tied in together, which is why initially, when I had discussions like the one we just had a second ago, it's $100 more than PlayStation.
You're also getting the Kinect.
$100 more. It's not so much the Kinect, it's just the fact that, like, I understand PlayStation was like, we're making a gaming console for fucking gamers. Who gives a shit about everything else? This plays games. And core gamers are like, fuck yes, Sony, that's what we want. That's cool. I don't mind the extra $100 because there's that extra $100 has so much more packaged into it. Like, there's so many more things that you're going to be able to accomplish. Like, as far as convenience goes and the integration, like, there's different ways that shit can go together. Like, to give an example, I really sound like I'm being paid by Xbox to talk about this. Mm-hmm. They've got a game that's coming out that's going to have 10 hours of gameplay, and when you finish the 10 hours of gameplay, the game will shut off. It'll take all the decisions you made within that game, and they'll be on Sunday night, a 1-hour television show that's tailored to the decisions you made with live actors that you'll be able to watch through your Xbox. If I own it and Courtney owns it, her episode will be different, but it's live actors that play out every possible circumstance that could have been decided by the game player, and I'll get to watch a TV show through my Xbox with live actors that shows the results of the decisions that I made, and there'll be a cliffhanger at the end of that 1-hour episode. And when that show's over, I'll have 10 more hours of gameplay based on what that TV show had. And it'll go back and forth between the two. It's called Quantum Break, and it looks fucking nuts.
That just scared me completely.
Yeah, look up Quantum Break. Just the graphics alone, they have in-game footage of it, and it's something to do with like a physics experiment went wrong, and the space-time continuum is fucked up, so time freezes a bunch, but there's like a handful of people that aren't affected by it. The shit'll like happen, and everything freezes like the Matrix, but there's a handful of people that can just walk around like everything's frozen. And there's the actual footage from the TV show they've shown, awesome. And the gameplay footage, like the CG models of the actors are beautiful. I mean, it looks great. And the bleed over from the game to the show, they do a transition so that when you go to watch that 1-hour episode, you see the last thing you did in the game bleed into live action, and it's just neat as shit. And they're doing a lot of stuff like that. Like Xbox is getting a bunch of exclusive TV shows that are you'll only be able to watch them if you own an Xbox One. Steven Spielberg's doing a Halo show.
Nice.
So, I mean, that's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
I understand PlayStation came out. PlayStation's got some awesome fucking titles. I'm not saying don't buy one. I'm just saying that I'm reading a whole lot about that's an extra $100. That's a lot of money to a kid that wants to buy a game console. I'm not a fucking kid. I've got the extra $100, and that extra $100 is going to give me some awesome shit. I'm excited. I'm just excited in general that they're out. I'll eventually own a PlayStation 4, but like I have to prioritize that money right now, and I'm waiting until this coming Friday.
And Quantum Break is an Xbox exclusive, right?
Yes.
You guys are getting Quantum Break, PlayStation 4 guys. Quantum Leap.
A Quantum Leap game? Are you serious?
Yeah, remaking it into a video game.
Are you shitting me? You're also getting
100%
Mad Max.
totally not kidding about that right now.
Quantum Leap. That's kind of cool. That's unbelievable. I don't know if I can believe you or not right now.
No, I'm completely making that up.
Quantum Leap.
Listen, Quantum Leap is a fix my child.
They're getting Mad Max though. That's one thing I'm like, fuck, why can't Xbox have Mad Max? They announced Mad Max, they had a trailer
With racist Mel Gibson.
It's a retelling of Mad
Mel
Max, but here's the thing, when they first showed it at like the PlayStation 4 unveiling at E3, they had a trailer for it, and the guy playing Mad Max, he had an American accent, he wasn't Australian, and as you can imagine, the internet was like, what the fucking shit? American Mad Max, dog shit. And it took like a week before they were like, we're going to recast the guy doing Mad Max, and they got an Australian guy.
In their defense, when Mad Max was originally released in America, they did dub over Mel Gibson's voice.
Well, they changed it though, it's going to be Australian.
They fixed it. They realized their mistake, but...
That's really funny.
That's the only, as far as like, I really, prior to this podcast, did a lot of scouring of the news, and it was like, Matt Lauer doesn't like apples. And I was like, there was nothing I could talk about this week except for the launch of and by the time, I guess people will listen to this, we should be close to Xbox One's release or it's already released.
It'll probably be right around the same time.
Both consoles will be out.
Yeah, I really don't care which one wins. I know I'll probably end up getting a
That's the
PlayStation
thing, though.
4.
That's the big, like, from an editorial perspective, what I've read a lot is, like, and it's all emotional. It's all people, like, picking a side. Like, I like the Red Sox and I like the Yankees, whatever. There's never a winner.
No.
It's not like you can say because the Xbox consistently outsold Nintendo and Sony that they won. Because it's not like any company went bankrupt. Their executives all made money. The companies thrived. They did great. It's not like winners. It's not like Microsoft or Sony's going to get a trophy and get to drive a real cool car because they did better.
Right.
Like, all consoles are going to win. It's all a matter of personal preference. What it boils down to is I'm going to trash talk somebody who doesn't like my opinion is what it is. Like, you don't like what I like, so fuck you, your dad's a faggot, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no one's going to win. I think it's generally accepted. There's a lot of weird speculation, like, what if these consoles fail? Let's face it, they're not going to fail. They're already making shitloads of money. They've already pre-sold before the launch of the PlayStation 4. They had pre-sold like 3 times more than the PlayStation 3 pre-sold. And the Xbox is the same way. They pre-sold 3 times more than they did the Xbox 360. They're already winning. They're doing great. I mean, it's all a matter of personal preference. It's really fun, though, if you haven't, to go on the internet, go on a popular gaming site and read comments between PlayStation and Xbox fanboys. You know, your mom's vagina looks like a horse's mouth because you like PlayStation.
I think, like, the
Dad's an Xbox.
what it boils down to, like, for kids especially, is, like, which console, like, all their friends get.
Exactly, and that's how it was when I was a kid. I got a Sega Genesis, and all of my friends got Super Nintendos.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed. It's like, who am I going to swap Sonic the Hedgehog with, Mom? You bitch. Everybody's got the Super Scope 6, and they're shooting at Tetris blocks on screen. What's this crappy gun you got me for the Sega? Toe jammer on my ass.
Yeah.
That's how my childhood was. I was so mad.
But, I mean, it's even deeper now than before, like...
Especially with networking.
Yeah, with
online
the whole social networking thing, and, like, that's fucking teenage kids' lives now.
Yeah.
It's kind of... That's where the whole argument comes in, I think, for most people.
If you're listening to this and I'm going to go ahead and give you a conglomerate, a combination of everything that I've read, because I've done a lot of investigating into the journalism behind these console releases. This is like the overall catharsis of this. If you're weighing right now what you want to buy, if you haven't bought one yet, you're fucked, because they're going to be sold out before Christmas. They're going to be gone. But what you need to do is base it on 2 things. Don't base it on emotion. Don't base it on the last generation of consoles. Look at, in a couple months, and when January, February rolls around, look at hardware reliability, which one has broken down more, which one's had more software issues and things of that nature, and look at your exclusives. Follow the websites and see what reviewers say about games, see what fans are saying about games. Who gives a fuck if Sony or Microsoft made it? Look at what you're actually paying for and what you're going to be playing when you get it. That's all you can do at this point. I mean, it's easy to say, well, I got an Xbox because everyone else got an Xbox. Whatever. But were there games on the Xbox that you wanted to get? Because I could have bought an Xbox because my neighbor bought one and I wanted to play games with him, but what if those games sucked? So this, as a warning, there's never a console launch that has good lineup. There's never. The PlayStation 3 and Xbox, they had poorly received to launch titles. The original Xbox and PlayStation 2, Sega Saturn, Sega CD, 3DO, all of them.
What about Knights? Wasn't that a launch title?
No, Knights was about like a year after.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Knights was awesome, though. Knights was an awesome game.
Maybe that was Echo the Dolphin.
Echo the Dolphin was the Sega Genesis launch title. Yeah, I had it. I got it for Christmas with Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's a good Christmas, right?
So don't totally. If you haven't bought one yet, if you're not committed to a system at this point, don't be. Wait until January or February and look at what the hardware has done and the software, how the actual. Microsoft's taking a huge gamble with they have PlayStation's got PS4 OS, which is an independently written OS for the PS4. Microsoft has 3 separate OSs going at once. They have an onboard Xbox One. It's called XBO OS. That's running the Xbox One.
BOS?
The XBO. Yeah.
Okay.
They have that operating system going. They have one that's cloud-based. That's because a lot of the games, there's certain assets of the games they didn't include on the disk or on the downloader system so that it could save on disk space and it's access to via the cloud, optionally. That's a separate operating system, and they have an operating system that buffers the two for the communication. And they're wondering, apparently the number of servers, I can't remember how many servers they said worldwide, but it's a number that made me want to, I was like, that's not even real, but it's in the tens of thousands of servers they have stationed worldwide that are up and running for the Xbox. They said pretty much any game you're playing online, when you go to play an online game, there's going to be hundreds of servers only for that game. They're going to have dedicated servers for games.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Quadrupled their server count. Went from 20,000 to 200,000.
Yeah, they said when the Xbox One launched, there was a few hundred, or the Xbox launched, first one there was a couple hundred, and they said in 2010 it was 18,000, and that it's the 314,000 servers dedicated to Xbox One on launch day, and that number's going to grow. But I guess that whole idea of 3 operating systems that have to work together, that could be an issue when you talk about that many people getting online at once. So that's one of those things to weigh in on when you're looking at making a purchase of $400 to $500 plus tax. Look at how that hardware and software holds up, the functionality of them, and then look at the titles that come out for it. Do not look at the games that are coming out this Friday or came out last Friday, because I can tell you right now, the Xbox games that have been reviewed for the One have been poorly received, and the games that have come out for the PlayStation 4, every one of them, across the board, 5.5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 3 out of 5 stars. They're just fucking what? Yeah.
I was going to mention about both launch title the lineup. Don't you wish that they were releasing more first-person shooters?
I wish that.
That's all they release.
Yeah.
I won't say that. I get the joke you're making.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is I wish there were more first-party exclusives. Words I know it's a first-person shooter, but Microsoft should have come with Halo. They should have brought Halo to the gate when that system launched.
I agree with that.
And PlayStation should have come with a Little Big Planet, or they've got a lot of things at PlayStation. It's not first-party exclusive, but Infamous. They could have had not Infamous, but
that is an exclusive.
Yeah, that's an exclusive, but it's not a launch title for one thing.
I think it was supposed to be a launch, but they pushed it back.
No, what I'm thinking of is Uncharted.
Yeah.
You could have brought Uncharted. You know what I mean? That would have been fucking huge.
But those
Killzone's a launch title, poorly received. It's got a 70% meta score.
Yeah.
It's people are it's good, but it's the same thing we played.
Ghosts and Battlefield is just
Mm-hmm.
So that's the deepest we've gotten into a news story ever. Or usually so Hillary Rodham Clinton got a mole on her clit. Just moving on. Spinach has got poison in it. Oh, don't eat spinach.
Very true. Very true.
I'm coughing. That fucking tequila's got my throat all messed up. I feel like I was sucking a dick made of porcupine quills.
I thought it was Microsoft's dick. You were just pulling it out.
No, it's not Microsoft. It's Xbox. Which, by the way, they're trying to sell it off.
Yeah, I heard about that rumor that they're trying to just completely do away with their console.
Well, they want to just sell Xbox off to another party,
right?
So that Microsoft can focus on their garbage software.
Surface.
Yeah. Have you used the Surface yet?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I messed around with one at a mall at one of the Microsoft stores, and what really bothered me about it was the keyboard. It doesn't have tactile feedback.
Yeah,
It's just a
there's no
solid
haptics to it at
keyboard
all,
with
yeah.
raised keys,
Yeah.
and that didn't make sense to me. And the operating system, I hate Windows 8. I think it's a horrible operating
Because
system.
it's a gigantic cell phone.
Basically, it doesn't really.
I'll give them that you have the capability, and this isn't a defense of Microsoft. It's like the first iteration of Windows 8 and the first line of Surfaces that came out. Mm-hmm. That was what you were stuck with, and the ability to switch between like more traditional Windows, which isn't like the greatest OS ever, but it's one of those. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It works. It does what it's supposed to do as far as organization goes and its functionality. You can switch between them now. It's just I don't think that they people don't want to fucking do that for everything they're doing. Like everyone's used to this very confined usage of a mouse and your keyboard and your shortcuts. I'm not gonna bash. I thought the first line of Surfaces was garbage, and I think Windows 8 is not the greatest thing ever. But yeah, I'm not gonna buy one. But I don't know. But yeah, they're wanting to focus more on those things, and I guess there's a bunch of investors that are they're investors that put their money into Microsoft for the development of the Xbox to begin with. Mm-hmm. So Microsoft is like, why don't you guys just take it? Why don't you just and Xbox be its own independent company?
It could be. It might as well be.
This is where shit gets interesting. That I don't know if anyone's read this. The company that developed Kinect, because it's not Xbox, it's a third party that developed the software and hardware behind Kinect. Mm-hmm. Apple's bidding to buy it. Apple's trying to buy that. So they would own the software and hardware that runs the Kinect. Like the whole Kinect setup would be owned by Apple. It was a Microsoft system with an Apple peripheral, which would be
Let's add another $200 to a new Kinect.
Yeah.
Separately.
Well.
But they come in different colors.
Yeah, my ex-girlfriend just got the new iPhone. She got the gold one, and she won't stop talking about it. I'm like, it's just a fucking color. Yeah. It's a phone in a color, but it's gold. I don't give a shit. It's not gold. You can't bite into it and trade it off for a saddle. It's not fucking gold. It's a color.
Send a message, though. Send a message. I don't know what that message is. But, well, I guess that's all we got then, huh?
Absolutely.
Well, let me go and wrap it up with our joke for this podcast.
Okay.
Podcast 28. The joke is, why did the bowling pin stop working?
Oh, can I answer this?
Yeah.
It's totally a guess.
Uh-huh.
It was on strike?
Yes. Yes. Because they went on strike.
Yes.
That's why they stopped working.
I love it. It's so garbage. I love it. It speaks to my character that I knew the answer to a garbage joke.
Absolutely. All right, well, thanks, everybody. Thanks again, Meon.
Thank you.
Allison, Thunderbeard. That's it. Everyone have a sexily.
Good podcast.
Yeah, man.
It was a...
Thanks for listening to the Who Gives a Fuck.biz podcast. Please call the hotline at 424-253-6355 with any questions or comments, and they will be shared on the next podcast. Have a great evening, you sexy humanoid, you.